I said, are you ready?
No, no, I'm not.
It's America. This is America. Michelle, these edibles ain't shit.
Me an hour later.
My
Him an
honest
hour
reaction
later.
to that information.
Well, America.
Yeah. The grand old US of A grows wine. Who would have figured?
Actually, in every state.
Yeah, pretty much in every state, but we are actually located in the southeast New England
AVA,
which is wild.
the American viticultural area.
Yeah, and speaking of American viticultural areas, that brings us right into American wine laws. American viticultural areas are pretty much your DOC, your AOC, your
PDO level
level wine. The thing is, what varies differently now that we're in the new world, we're gonna see a lot of less regulations on what is grown, where is grown, why is grown. This will just be a common theme. And even talking about just AVAs, the AVA is actually very significantly in size. So, I mean, you have like the Rutherford AVA, which is located in the Napa Valley. But then you also have shit like the Central Coast, which is huge. The AVAs can actually include land in another state. It doesn't matter necessarily if it crosses state boundaries, but not all wines actually qualify for an AVA. The name of the state, like California, or county, like Napa County, would appear on the bottle. So you say like Napa County Cabernet Sauvignon, that's what you'd see on a bottle. And the labeling laws are much more lenient. There are actual federal laws, meaning nationwide laws, specifying the minimum percentage of grapes that must come from that single varietal, vintage, and AVA to allow those terms to actually show up on your bottle. However, once we get down to the nitty gritty, some states might have some different laws regarding this kind of stuff. There are pretty much 4 main states we're going to talk about, 3 of which that we're going to go over in this video. We're going to have an entire video dedicated to California because it's absolutely wild there. So let's talk about Oregon.
Oregon, we're going to be looking at 2 major regions. Our first is the Willamette Valley AVA. This is going to have a large concentration of vineyards and is going to take up the most amount of acreage. And this is going to be a more moderate continental climate with some influences from the Pacific Ocean, depending on the vineyard sites. We're going to see a lot of Pinot Noir production. It's going to produce lots of reds fruited, as well as some spice characteristics. We're also seeing Pinot Gris be a white grape popular in this area, being made in a nice, simple fruited, dry style. Then we move on to Southern Oregon, which encompasses the Umpqua Valley, as well as the Rogue Valley, and some other valleys as well. So it has some nice topography to it. We're seeing our warmest growing conditions in Oregon in this southern region as we get closer down to the equator. We are seeing some cooler areas that have a little bit more aspect and altitude in the hills as well as the valleys. And we are able to grow a variety of, varieties in this case, a lot of international varieties like Syrah, Pinot Noir, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and some white varieties like Pinot Gris as well as Chardonnay.
Moving on to Washington, the big AVA here that we need to know about is the Columbia Valley AVA. The majority of Washington's vineyards are actually planted in this AVA. Within this larger AVA, we have the subregions of the Yakima Valley and the Walla Walla AVA. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Do it.
No. The Columbia Valley AVA actually lies in the rain shadow of the Cascade Mountains. And as such, it leads to a much drier climate, making irrigation a necessity if you want to successfully grow vines here. Here in the Columbia Valley, winemakers have to take full advantage of the long daytime hours because then your fruit retains optimal ripeness because of that ample sunlight. You have that diurnal range where you have very cool nights that help retain the fruit's acidity. And winter freeze here is actually a big concern. Luckily, it only happens in the winter. Here, Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon are the most important red varieties. However, full-bodied Syrah is also produced here. Moving on to white grape, Chardonnay is going to be our big guy here. It typically produces very fruity wines with some oak character.
Our then last state, we're going to go more eastward and visit New York, where we're seeing a lot of dominant production of hybrid type vines. So we're going to see lots of production of some other more international varieties like Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon, as well as Riesling in this area as well. The Finger Lakes AVA is the AVA we're going to be looking at. The lakes do allow some heat retention for the vines, and this sort of extends the growing season, allowing grapes to hang on the vine a little longer, which is why Riesling does so well. You could do it in a late harvest style to preserve a little bit more sugar or add a little bit more body to your wine. We also are seeing some plantings of Cabernet Franc that does really well here. Also some plantings of Pinot Noir as well as Chardonnay, and some individual lakes do encompass their own American viticultural area. So that was
Intro to America and the 3 states.
and some 3 states. Yeah, they are definitely overshadowed by California in a major way.
For sure. I, for one, am a big fan of Oregon Pinot Noir.
I enjoy California. We'll duke it out in the next video.
Yeah, we'll duke it out next video. Keep it real, real people.
Ciao.
Ciao.